What causes narcissistic personality disorder? Another way to ask this is, what causes a person to be so narcissistic, so cruel? This is a good question. I've often wondered this, and I'm sure you're wondering this right now, but I think there's a bigger question that we need to ask first. And this question is, why do you want to know? Have you thought about that? I want you to ask yourself right now, why do you want to know? And then we'll talk. My name is Kevin, and this is The Royal We. Now, before we talk about what causes narcissistic personality disorder, I want to let you know that I am here for your support. Those of you who are struggling through a toxic relationship right now, I do take one-on-one appointments. Down in the description box below this message, you'll find access to my calendar where you can schedule some one-on-one time with me. Now, before we talk about where narcissistic personality disorder comes from, we need to tackle this question of, why do you want to know? And the reason this is the most important question, and we need to put this first, is because there's a common misunderstanding. There's this misinterpretation. There's this idea that if you can find out what causes narcissistic personality disorder, then maybe there's a chance that you will have enough knowledge and enough wisdom and enough ability to make a relationship work that's not working. To fix a problem that you're having with loved ones that's not fixable. Gaining understanding and gaining knowledge of where narcissistic abuse comes from or how it operates or why is not going to fix the fact that they are narcissistic. It's not going to ever take away the personality disorder. It's not going to make it less painful. And this is why it's important to ask that question first. Why do you want to know? If you want to know because you're hoping, you're holding on to that golden idea, you have that small hope that if you could understand where narcissistic personality disorder comes from, then you'll be able to work through it together and have a good relationship, and you're hanging on to that hope. And as the Bible says, hope deferred makes the heart sick. You're only making yourself sick as you wait in hope for something that is hopeless. And what's hopeless in the situation? Waiting for a narcissistic person to be anything less than or more than a narcissistic person. Now, chew on that for a while, please. Make sure that you want to know for the right reasons. Now, for those of you who want to know because you're curious, you don't want anything to do with these personality types, but you're really curious as to where they come from. Well, now we get into what leading psychologists and doctors often talk about, and this is, it can possibly be from the extremes, the extreme of neglect and abuse in a family, or being brought up in the extreme of being spoiled and are able to get away with anything. But the truth of the matter is that these all ideas ultimately fall flat. It's not necessarily true. Nobody, no psychologist, no scientist, no doctor can rest on any definite reason as to what causes personality disorders. Listen, scientists and psychologists have been at this for centuries and eons, but they'll fall flat in their understanding because it goes beyond what the upbringing is. It goes into territory that make people uncomfortable. They don't quite understand it. Listen, if we go back into the ancient Hebraic story of Cain and Abel, okay, the two sons of Adam and Eve, and according to the story, Cain and Abel are the first humans born on the planet, according to the ancient story. If we look at that story, one is a killer, while the other is obedient. And watch this, both of them have the same parents. Both of them were raised and brought up by Adam and Eve. So what does that tell you? They were raised the same. So you can't say one was brought up with abuse and neglect and the other one was brought up spoiled and rotten. They have the same upbringing. Yet what we see is two extremes, if you will, of two children having nothing to do with the parents because they were raised the same. They had the same parents. And this speaks towards a lot of narcissistic abuse. You can take a family of 4, 2 parents and 2 children, and one might be narcissistically abusive and the other might not. Is it the result of the upbringing? Not necessarily. This is why what leading psychologists and scientists and doctors say about it being the result of parenting, it falls flat. That's not it. So what can we say then? This gets into the uncomfortable territory as most people have a difficult time with. Goes into the heart of humanity, the soul, what's individualized, what's given to each individual person, not from a parent, but from something else, something greater than that. What cannot be taught by parents, what cannot be learned, but what is inside, what makes people an individual. This is the area that gets into what causes some to be narcissistic, some to be aggressive personality types, some to be kind personality types. It's not learned behavior is what I'm trying to say. It's beyond that. It's beyond that. And the important thing to understand here is that you're not to try to figure it out if you're a kind person so that you can figure out how to be intimate with a mean, aggressive person. It's so that you can understand the concept that there are mean, aggressive people. And that if that's not the type of person you want in your life, you need to learn how to turn away. Listen, if there's anything we can understand about the ancient literature, the Bible, God as God is referenced in the ancient literature by the Hebraic people, according to the Bible, is that God's divisive. Animals are of each of their own kind. You have deers, you have lions, you have tigers, they're all animals, but each to its own kind. I think it's a mistake to think that all humans within the group of humans are all the same kind. We know that that's not true. I think we need to start looking at personalities as different kinds. And we need to start to learn how to better discern and judge and then associate with the right kinds of people for our life. Listen, I'll be a part of your healing journey. Down below in the description box is where you'll find access to my calendar, telephone calls, FaceTime, WhatsApp, video calls. It's all available for you. In addition to that, Monday nights where we live chat. Saturday morning is where we fellowship, and I'll be back with more videos for you right here on The Royal We.